What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to another episode of the Dossier, the Marvel Crisis Protocol show where we share our thoughts, opinions, and feelings on certain characters, their cards, their models, how they perform in the game, and all that sort of great stuff. Now, remember, these conversations are not meant to be the final word on these characters. They are just meant to be a starting point, give you an overview of the character and what to maybe expect from them in the game. There are lots of great discussions online that you can go find and definitely check out. Today, I'm being joined by Troop.
Ew.
And this one is for a very specific reason because we are looking at the Master of the Dark Dimension, Dormammu. And I don't know anyone else who has tried to use him more than Troop at this point. I'm sure there's some people out there, but you've thrown Dormammu at me a number of times, and I think we've both gotten one win off with him.
Yep.
Out of I think the 10 games he's been on the channel or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So, no, he's fun. He has a lot of cool ideas.
So we are going to talk about Dormammu today. So first off, let's take a quick look at his model here. And I will say this, at the time, he was the biggest model that came out.
Yes.
And honestly, I love it. I love the towering size of him. I love that he's tall. He's got that, he's holding the wonderful fire and everything like that. Just in general, I like the model a lot.
Yeah, and honestly, he's imposing on the battlefield. You see him walking across towards a Hulk. He's big. Yep. He's a big man.
Yep, because it's sure not his card you're afraid of. So, burying the lead here a little bit. He's an absolutely great model. I loved putting him together. He was so easy to put together. And I mean, my particular one's not highlighted, but painting him up, there's a lot of great ridges and panels to highlight him. And I've seen some really cool creative paint jobs.
I've seen someone who painted him up with some glow-in-the-dark paint, so he's scary even at night.
Yeah, so. some nice fluorescence. Let's talk about his card here then. We got Dormammu, 10 stamina on his healthy side. I think he goes down to 8. No, he goes up to 12.
Up to 12.
12. So he's got 22 stamina on both sides, which I think is the highest stamina in the game.
I believe so.
He's a medium mover, which always surprises the hell out of me. He's size 5, one of only 3 characters that are size 5, 8 threat, and he's 4/4/5 for his defenses.
So solid defenses, actually exceptional defenses, and very, very impressive health, decent movement. He's a big man.
Yeah, all in all, if you were just looking at his stat line, that's a very impressive stat line. Yeah. Really no real complaints with it, right? So why don't you go over his attacks with us here?
Yeah, so we got, first one is the Shadow Bolt. It's range 4, strength 6, 0 cost. It's got a wild Hex and a wild Sap power.
Okay. So, on an 8 threat character, how do you feel about a 6 dice attack? Knowing that Malekith has a 7 dice, Hulk has a 7 dice, She-Hulk has a 7 dice, and Immortal Hulk has a 7 dice.
So, I do think of him as being a less punchy version of those characters, and so him having a 6 dice attack that has these cool triggers is probably more correct. However, he oftentimes whiffs against characters with 4 energy defense, and it's really sad when it happens.
Yeah, I think that he's kind of lacking a little bit in this regard. Even if they made the Hex maybe an automatic thing.
Yeah, that's something like that, or triggers off a hit, and that way you always get something off of it. It feels really wild dependent.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like he pulls his weight.
Yeah.
So we have Incantation of Obliteration, which is a range 3, 8 dice, 5 power mystic attack. Which, on paper when he came out, Mystic was very underrepresented in the game, and this hit like a friggin' truck, right?
And it was scary to everybody.
And it's got a very, very hungry trigger here. It's Wild, Hit, Shield, and Skull, and you get Dark Miasma. After this attack is resolved, this character may make an additional Incantation of Obliteration attack without paying the power cost. The additional attack must target a character within 2 of the original target that has not been targeted by an Incantation of Obliteration this round. I have a beef with this right off the hop simply because of New Red Skull.
Yeah.
New Red Skull has an ability that is basically this, with, I think it has easier triggers.
Easier triggers, but I think it's 1 less dice, isn't it?
It's 1 less die. It's also 1 less power.
Yeah.
And I want to say the range is different as well, but I don't remember the range.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just...
This is definitely very, very exciting year 1 MCP, but it kind of has aged out at this point. I have gotten Dark Miasma off 3 times, and been like, this is, the Dark Miasma off twice, so I've gotten the incantation on 3 characters, which was great, except 2 of those attacks crapped out, because if you notice, there's a shield and a skull in there, and those are...
Well, he counts as skulls.
Yes, he does. But like, the shield is definitely... I didn't get one of these hits on this guy. Hopefully I did enough damage and I'm passing it on to the next group.
I remember there was one game where you did this attack, and I too dangerous to ignored it, and made you punch Honey Badger, who was more than 2 away from all my other guys.
Yeah.
So it looks great on paper, but it's one of those attacks where unfortunately it kind of disappoints a little bit once it hits the table.
Yes.
Okay. So next up, we got the Flames of the Faltine, which is the Dark Dimension leadership. Why don't you take this away, Drew?
All right. If Dormammu is included in a squad, the squad is affiliated with Dark Dimension and must use this leadership ability. This character and each other character you control gains 1 additional power during the power phase. During the power phase, if another character has 6 or more power, it suffers 1 damage.
So this is an interesting one, and you've built a lot of really fascinating lists off this power.
Yes.
And I think this is kind of where his 8-threat balancing comes in, because you can just throw a whole bunch of 2s and 3s with them and really get a wide team.
You can get a crazy wide team. Oftentimes you have a bunch of characters who they really want like 2 or 3 power every turn, and this guy just like powers them up, and all of a sudden you've got all these little tricks going off. It's a fun ability, but it's a big investment to get there.
It is, and especially once you start getting a lot of power and you start damaging your team as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I mean, there's some reactions I've seen you try on, like the healing factor list.
Which was fun, but...
You kind of lacked some punch in some other ways there. I've tried off the Ghost Rider lists with it. And I mean, if it wasn't for a pesky Scarlet Witch, it was doing pretty well.
Would have got away with it.
It would have gotten away with it. Yeah, so it's a very interesting leadership. I think there's a lot of wiggle room with it. We've seen a lot of popularity with Hellfire Club lately, which has a very similar power, like ability to give out a lot of power.
Emma Frost has drawn me in the same way. Yep.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. But yeah, so let's move on. So now we have Not of This Dimension. It's 3 power, active power. Place this character within 2 of its current power. It's Gamma Leap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think, is Gamma Leap 3 power? Yeah, Gamma Leap is 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. It's Gamma Leap, but I can't really complain about that. He's very fast for what he is.
Yes.
He's arguably faster than Hulk as a result.
Yes.
Because of that medium move. Yeah, no notes.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Feel the Power of Darkness.
Yeah. After an attack targeting this character is resolved, it may use the superpower, because it's a reactive superpower. 2 power. The attacking character is pushed away from this character short and gains the Hex special condition. If the attacking character already had the Hex condition, it gains the Incinerate condition.
So, in theory, I love this.
Yes.
In theory. The problem is you don't attack Dormammu.
That's correct.
He's got the defensive stats to basically just you just kind of ignore him, and you get his support structure down.
Yeah.
Because Dormammu on his own doesn't have the output to take out everyone on the team, right?
And Dormammu really can't take a whole team's worth of fights into himself either. So
now, mind you, I mean, if you can find a way to sacrifice onto him, for instance, it's a great way of forcing the issue a little bit.
New Doc, boom.
Yeah. Actually, that's kind of an interesting combination right there. Yeah. You pair New Doc with him and just always force MODOK, or even Red Skull.
I'm literally writing notes right now, so it's great.
We will see this on the board. Next up, we got an innate power, Master of the Realm of Darkness. When this character suffers damage from an enemy effect, it gains 1 power instead of power equal to the damage suffered. When another allied character is damaged by an enemy effect by Flames of the Faltine, he gains 1 power. And additionally, when calculating successes or failures of this character's attacks, this character adds the number of skulls in both the attack and defense roll to its total successes. He's not hurting for power.
No, he's very good at I shouldn't say always having power, because he really spends power a lot, but the first part of the ability is definitely very good at keeping him at somewhere between 2 to 5 power every turn, and it's great.
Yeah, like you're never going to get a big power spike from being punched really hard, but he's got so many other ways of gaining that power. And if you bring at least 3 or 4 characters on a team and whatnot, and they start to get damaged by the Faltine, like you're going to get a whole bunch of power.
Yes. Now the bottom half of this one is actually where the craziness is, right? Like when you're counting skulls in both the attack and the defense, like you can get some really silly attacks that way.
Here's the funny thing, like Like, this power on Ghost Rider feels overwhelming. This power on Dormammu doesn't feel powerful enough.
So, I agree, but I agree mostly because I feel like Ghost Rider has a better damage dealing capability in other ways. Easier ways of getting incinerated onto people, easier ways of actually dealing out a lot of damage. So I absolutely love this ability, and every time I've seen it, it's always like, ooh, that's very unfair. You rolled 2 skulls. I guess I get to kill you this round.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to, it's a nice thing, but it almost feels like this isn't the right way to use the term, but it feels more like a win more.
I actually, most of the time it ends up being that way, or it feels like it's so erratic you can't be counted on.
Yeah, because when you get those skulls, it feels like, well, you're already kind of dummying the character, and now you're just dummying them more, and that's not what you really need, right? Like,
not on this character.
Yeah, you need ways of trying to deal out more damage on other characters, and stuff like that. And I mean, if incantation goes off, that is theoretically 4 characters that are getting punched with it each turn.
Yes,
but I mean, that doesn't go off all that often, right?
Not at all,
which is kind of unfortunate. So, and then of course he's immune to bleed, incinerate, and stagger, and he's got flight.
Which is not saying
He's
much.
He's size 5.
Yeah.
Who cares about all flight says is, hey, storm's gonna hurt you more.
Yeah. Like, all I'm imagining is him doing like the Duke Boys slide across an apartment building and being like, yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. So he does come with a pair of tactics cards. So we have Dark Restoration and we have Dark Empowerment. So I'll take Dark Empowerment.
Yes.
So it's a Dark Dimension card, which makes sense. He's always going to be Dark Dimension. It's active. During a character's activation, it can suffer 1 damage to play this card. Choose another character within 3 of the active character. Effects of the next attack made this turn by the active character cannot cause it to gain power. The chosen character gains power equal to the damage dealt by the attack. There's a lot going on here, and I honestly did not parse that properly. So you're choosing another character within 3 of the active character. So this can be an enemy character.
Yep.
Effects of the next attack made this turn by the active character cannot cause it to gain power. So basically, if they go in and do a big punch, like say a Hulk, they are not going to gain power from it. And then the chosen character gains power equal to the damage dealt by the attack. So, okay, help me parse this one.
Okay, so during a player's activation, it may suffer 1 damage to play this card.
Right.
So that is the person that's the actual affected thing.
Yeah.
Another character within 3 of the active character.
Okay, I'm under. So basically, what will happen is if Dormammu plays this card, and Hulk walks up and punches somebody and gains 3 power, he doesn't gain 3 power. Dormammu does.
Exactly.
Okay, there we go. I had to read that a number of times. I wasn't parsing it.
Yep, it's how it gets everyone.
Yeah. In theory, very cool card. You can shut down somebody's power generation for a round. You can power somebody else up if you know a big round is coming.
Yep.
Which is really kind of cool. Do you think it's worth a card slot?
Well, so nah.
No.
Like that. So it's very hard for you to use this for an opponent's attack because it has to be during the character's activation.
Yeah.
But like it's.
And you're kind of banking on that character doing really well.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily what you want, right?
And oftentimes it's Dormammu. You want to put it on Dormammu. He wants the power, and then you're like, oh, yeah, I don't want him to take a damage. He's already at risk.
Yeah. So it's an interesting card, but kind of it feels like it falls just a little short from being truly usable.
Yeah.
So we got Dark Restoration.
Yes, this is a great one. Dark Dimension. It's a reactive power. During the cleanup phase, Dormammu may pay 6 power to play this card. Place an allied character of threat value 3 or less that has been KO'd this game within 2 of Dormammu. The character is healthy and has no damage, special conditions, or effects. So this is I think the better of his 2 cards. It's always fun when you're like, aha, you killed this guy early on and it was really unlucky for me. Boom, this guy's back.
I think my beef with this card, unfortunately, is by the time characters are getting KO'd on average, you're already in a position where you know kind of how the game is going to play out.
Yeah, and you would rather spend 5 power and do a Hail Mary incantation of obliteration instead of bringing back a 3 threat.
Now, mind you, this is during the cleanup phase as well, so he is about to gain a bunch of power in the next power, the Flames of the Faultine, right?
Yeah,
but still, like it's nice. I don't think I've ever really seen it used to huge effect.
every time I've played it, it's either been aha, I'm winning, I will make another guy. That's just got to be really heartbreaking for you. I'm really sorry about this. Or it's I did this instead of doing a big attack. My guy that came in is fine. He's a 3 threat. What do you expect from him?
Yeah, what's that 3 threat going to do for you? Like, how many points can they potentially score over the course of the game?
Yeah.
Are they going to potentially be really dangerous in the game?
Yes.
And it also depends on who was in your squad to begin with.
Yeah, right? yeah.
I noticed you went and grabbed another card.
Yeah, because you forgot one of Dormammu's cards, and that card, of course, is Smash.
Everyone loves Smash.
And as a size 5 character, Smash is real good.
He can smash everything but a Quinjet in an apartment building.
Yeah.
Oh, in a bunker. Can't smash a bunker.
Yeah.
So what Smash is basically it's you play 2 power. You pay 2 power, sorry. If you're within range 1 of an interactive terrain feature, you pay the power. You remove that terrain. And for the rest of the turn, I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah, for the rest of the activation, rather.
Yes, activation.
You're going to add dice to your attack rolls equal to the size of the terrain. If you can blow up a size 3 or 4 piece of terrain, and then pull off some dark obliterations, or incantations of obliterations, rather, or even just a shadow bolt.
Honestly, 10 dice shadow bolts are fine. You really feel like you outclassed a Hulk that time, but and honestly, anytime I take Dormammu, I'm taking Smash. It's a lot of fun. It can be terrain dependent. Like what's this board like?
I never like smashing a size 2 piece of terrain.
No. You really need
3 or higher.
3 or higher things for it. You probably want to make sure there's a 4.
Yeah.
Somewhere on there, but yeah.
But I think it's worth it. I think it helps give his power output a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's sort of Dormammu and kicking around here. Obviously, we can't talk about what affiliations he works good in because he only works in Dark Dimension.
And he works great in there. He is the best leader of that faction, so it's really good.
But as a character himself, we've had discussions on this a number of times. I don't think he has the board presence and impact to warrant being an 8 threat character.
Yeah, so like even when he came out as an 8 threat, he was just so expensive. Like Hulk wasn't great back then. We had Thanos. Thanos with stones was really exciting, and he could do stuff. He also ended up being like an 8 threat. You could do some really good things with him, but between Malekith and CGR and the updated Hulk, he's kind of been outclassed in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like I feel like at 6th threat, you look at what Hulk can do, you look at what CGR can do, and I feel like they impact the game a lot more. Like they have control that is not dependent on being punched.
Yeah.
Right? They can put down a lot of damage, they can rearrange the board, and they can take a lot of damage in response.
Yes.
Whereas with Dormammu, I feel like he can take a lot of damage, but because of his superpower, like to just push people away, I feel like a lot of the time you just kind of ignore him and you don't bother punching him unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And so his control is completely dependent on the other person punching you.
Well, and the other horrible thing is that oftentimes when you take something like a Malekith or CGR or Hulk, those guys go off and do their own thing by themselves. Whereas with Dormammu, you kind of want someone to help him. And at 8th threat, what are you putting there to help him? Like I like pairing him with Baron Mordo because Mordo gives him a bunch of extra damage, and that's kind of what he needs. Like 10 dice incantation of obliteration.
And he's got the stamina. He does not care if he's taking a point of some damage from the Sidorak, right?
But when you're paying 11th threat to hold a lane, he better be doing everything in that lane and controlling part of the other lane.
And I mean, here's the thing. It is almost impossible to double tap Dormammu.
Yeah.
Because he's going to push you away if you punch him even once. But I don't know. He needs to either have less threat or he needs to have ways to control the board.
Yes.
Like, why doesn't he have a bow, for instance?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Or a throw of some sort.
Yeah.
Or maybe even like if he had the ability using his not of this dimension, why can't he place other targets? Like, why isn't it a cosmic portal or a scalpel?
Yeah, that's kind of where I wish it was, because I definitely think of like him being able to move all the islands in his dimension and stuff.
Or why doesn't he have it too dangerous to ignore?
Yeah.
Like he could have a taunt.
Yeah.
Would that make him a little bit too powerful? I don't think too powerful.
If he's at 8th threat, he has to do some ridiculous stuff to be too powerful.
But with giving him a taunt, all of a sudden means that he's going to get his control off, right? Or even just make it so like the what is it, the power of darkness. Maybe just change it up a little bit that he can use it once per turn.
Yep.
And if it happens to be triggered off an attack, that's when it deals the condition or something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But when we have a CGR that can pull as many people as he wants, and of course, depending on when this video goes out, if there's like a hot fix, then we eat crow. But right now, CGR can pull as many people as you want, put Incinerate on him, and displace an entire team.
Yeah.
You can only do that with Dormammu if somebody decides to punch him first.
Yes, and they have to, like, if for you to hit a whole team, everybody on that team had to go and hit him. So.
Yeah, or even just changing the field of power of darkness so it actually hits all enemy characters within a certain range.
Yep, that would be great.
Like, you really punish them for being able to get in there and whatnot. I don't know. There's just, he needs to have something that has a little bit more of an impact in the game to make him worth that 8 power. I think you could actually throw him down to 6.
Yep.
And I think I still take CGR or Hulk over him.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Like, because I do feel like he's a support guy, but like as you were talking about his first attack, if he had anything, you could literally add anything to that attack, and he would get better, but still not be better than Hulk or.
I think you could make it a 7 dice attack, and Shadow Bolt feels a lot better.
Yep.
I think you could make the Hex automatic.
Yep.
And he feels a lot better, because right now he basically just has CGR's blasters with a wild Hex and a wild set power.
Yeah.
Right. That's basically what he has.
Yeah.
And considering CGR can get to wherever he wants and incinerate somebody before he shoots them.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. Hex is one of those abilities that it's great when it matters.
It's great when you remember.
It's great when you remember. But at the same time, it doesn't always matter all that much.
No.
So it feels a little lacking. Even Incantation of Obliteration just feels a little lacking, especially considering that you have CGR, who for I think 1 power more throws 12 dice.
Yeah.
And can potentially shut off your shields.
Yeah.
Right?
The other thing I'm going to say about Dormammu is like he feels like he should be able to go toe to toe with a lot of characters, but he really can't. Like he can Incantation of Obliteration someone, but like there are going to be certain characters that are just like no.
He's more just annoying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he is like the support of the kaiju meta, and unfortunately, that's not a niche.
It's not what you want your kaiju to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate because, like, yeah, he should be able to go toe to toe with a number of characters. You should be able to look at a lot of characters and basically just go, yeah, Dormammu's going to win this fight.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of characters where it's Dormammu's not winning the fight because he's smashing them. He's winning the fight because they attempt to punch him once and they're just like, go away.
Yeah. Yeah, like
right?
He's very hazardous to get attacked, but it's not. That isn't the big part of the game. You want someone who can be proactive, and his defensive tech is, even if it does happen, you get pushed away. You're like, eh. Yeah. I knew that was going to happen if I attacked you and you had this power. So.
Yep. Or we're even starting to see more characters that have more defenses against like Mystic or Energy, like ASM's perfected Spider Sense.
Yep.
I think New Cap actually can block against Mystic as well with his shield on his injured side now. So we're just starting to see a lot of characters, and just Dormammu's feeling a little left behind. And I'm hoping he gets a little bit of love.
Yeah, I think he's probably in my top 10 cards that kind of got missed in the more recent updates, and I think with a tiny bit of love, he can be a lot better.
Even if they just knock him down to 7 threat, he still feels a lot better because you can then build a more interesting team around him.
Yes.
Right, which is a good. Like, I like that his 8 threat discourages you from throwing 6 or 7 threats into his team, but at the same time, I feel like he's missing out on a core piece of the current meta as a result.
I agree.
And yeah. But anyway, that is Dormammu. Definitely get involved in the conversation below. Let us know what you think about him, where you think he needs some improvement, or push back. If you think he's fine, push back and let us know why. Make your case.
Let us know how you guys use him, because I've gone wide, I've gone tall. Tell us how you put him on the field.
Yeah, give us some ideas on running some more Dormammu. And of course, if you want to see more content like this, consider supporting the show at patreon.com/AegisBrandStudios. $1 a month, $12 a year. Get all this great content. And we will see you next time. Happy wargaming.